One of my subscribers from Holland has named us Team Coilzilla. That's it's a cracking one. Right, the next one I'm going to do is the Equinox 800. And again, I will be putting on the video of me and, Team Coilzilla in action, because it's really a podcast, really, with the audio. But, you know, podcasts are boring, aren't they? You've got nothing to watch. So I'll be putting on the video of the Mega Coil. Oh, sorry, Coilzilla. Keep forgetting. Right, so yeah, it's the same thing again. But this time we're going to go with deep horde detection with the Equinox 800. Oh my god, I've forgotten again. So yes, this is about the Equinox 800. Expert settings. I've scoured the globe, even looking in countries with multiple languages, which I've translated to English, for the ultimate settings of the Equinox 800. And in the description below there will be a document you can download to look at those expert settings. So yeah, if you want to find a coin hoard with the Equinox 800, check out the description below.
Welcome. Today we're embarking on a really focused technical mission. We're not just talking about using a metal detector.
No, not at all.
We're diving into a synthesis of global field research, all aimed at pushing a specific machine, the Minelab Equinox 800, right to its absolute limits.
We're talking ultra-deep targets, buried hordes, the stuff legends are made of.
Exactly. And our guide for this is something experts call the Universal Ultra-Deep Horde Detection Blueprint. It's less a list of settings and more, well, a way to understand the science behind it all.
It really is. It's about the balance, isn't it? That fine line between stability and gain in these high-performance detectors.
That's the core of it. We're translating this high-level knowledge into practical field intelligence for you.
And right away, you hit the main challenge. Getting maximum depth isn't like flipping a single power switch. That's where people often go wrong.
So it's more complex.
Oh, much more. You're managing this delicate equilibrium between key settings. The whole goal is to push the machine right to the edge. The threshold of stability, as they call it.
Where it's super responsive, but hasn't just collapsed into noise.
Precisely. You want it alive, almost buzzing, but controlled. Managing that fringe, that edge. That's the real secret sauce.
Okay, let's try and unpack that. The sources lay out a kind of foundational equation for depth. They say depth, sensitivity plus ground balance accuracy plus low recovery speed plus open filtering plus coil control.
Yeah, and that equation is so important because it immediately tells you it's not just about the detector's built-in power.
Right, it's a system.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The Equinox, with its multi-IQ platform, I mean, that's a massive head start. Analyzing multiple frequencies at once gives you incredible potential.
For listeners maybe less familiar, multi-IQ just means it's sending out and listening for several frequencies simultaneously.
That's it. Great coverage. But multi-IQ only gives you the potential. If your coil control is sloppy, you know, bouncing the coil.
Or if you set the recovery speed too high.
Right. You basically cancel out the benefits of all that clever processing.
Yeah.
These expert configurations we're discussing, they're all about controlling the other variables in that equation to squeeze out every last possible inch.
That makes total sense. Like having a Formula One engine but forgetting to inflate the tires.
Good analogy.
But speaking of control, the formula highlights low recovery speed and coil control. Now, multi-IQ is famously good at separating targets, right? So why are these seemingly basic things, speed and discipline, still so critical for ultimate depth? Shouldn't the advanced processing handle that noise?
Ah, that's a great question, and it gets to the heart of fringe detection.
Yeah.
Yes, multi-IQ processing is fantastic for separation telling a coin from a nail right next to it. That's its strength.
Okay.
But when we're hunting for these ultra-deep targets, especially hordes, we're listening for signals right at the absolute edge of detection. The electromagnetic field returning to the coil is incredibly weak.
Barely there?
Barely there. And the coil needs time, we're talking milliseconds, but crucial milliseconds, to properly register that faint echo.
So if you sweep too fast...
Or if the recovery speed setting is too quick, the machine's algorithm tries to process the signal too rapidly. It might dismiss that faint whisper as just transient noise, a blip, before the coil has truly confirmed it's a real object down there.
Ah, okay. So slow recovery and discipline, flat coil control. Give the machine the time it needs to say, wait, that faint thing, it's actually real.
You got it. It lets the field settle and return a stable, albeit weak, signal.
Understood. Right, let's dive into the first specific setup, ultra deep target mode. This one's laser focused on max depth for single, large, high conductor items, right? Big silver, copper artifacts.
Yes, typically in soil it's not too crazy, benign to moderate mineralization.
As a starting point.
For this, we go with Park 1 in multi-IQ. And the reason is key. Park 1 is weighted towards the lower frequencies in that multi-IQ analysis.
And lower frequencies penetrate deeper.
They do, and they also generate a stronger response from larger, bulkier conductive objects like a big silver coin or a copper bowl. It's optimized for that kind of target.
Okay, Park 1. Next up, sensitivity. The advice seems to be run it hot.
Run it hot. The recommendation is 23 up to 25. Now that's often the ragged edge, the point where the circuit just stays stable on many sites without going into self-oscillation or constant chatter.
And the guidance is pretty strict here. If you do get persistent chatter, even after noise canceling and ground balancing, you only drop it 1 notch.
Only to 24. Don't go lower unless the site is genuinely unworkable, just screaming at you. That single point difference between 25 and 24, it sounds small, but it can be huge in terms of managing stability.
Got it. So high sensitivity, then recovery speed. We're setting this very low.
Very low. 2 or 3. Again, it's about maximizing that dwell time, letting the coil listen intently over those really deep, faint signals.
And you'd only bump it up to 4 if.
Only if you're getting excessive ground noise, false signals from the soil itself that you just can't tame with the ground balance procedure, but start low.
Okay, now for what seems like a really critical, maybe controversial setting, iron bias, the guide says set both F2 and FE to 0. That feels totally counterintuitive. Aren't we just inviting a flood of iron signals by turning off the filters? Why do that deliberately?
You're absolutely right. It is counterintuitive if your goal is comfort.
Ugh.
And yes, you will dig more iron, period. There's no escaping that.
But there's a reason.
There's a critical reason. Iron bias, whether it's the standard FE or the more advanced F2, is fundamentally a suppression algorithm. It's designed to quiet down those iffy, ambiguous signals that might be deep iron or rusty nails or sometimes even good targets masked by iron.
Right, it tries to clean up the audio.
Exactly. But the cost of that cleaning is potentially clipping the signal from a genuine deep target. A large silver coin at extreme depth often gives off an incredibly faint, broad, sometimes quite ambiguous tone, right at the very limit of detection.
So the filter might just cut it out.
It might interpret that faint edge as probably iron and suppress it. By setting iron bias to 0, F2 and FE both off, you are making a conscious trade-off.
Pain for gain.
Pain for gain, exactly. You accept digging more junk iron in exchange for ensuring the machine reports everything it hears, including those very faint whispers from deep, non-ferrous targets. It's necessary if absolute depth is your #1 priority.
So the mindset shift is huge here. Forget comfortable filtering, trust your ears, and be prepared to investigate those questionable signals.
That's the essence of it for this mode.
Okay. That leads perfectly into another absolutely crucial detail the sources hammer home, the ground balance technique. They say the standard way just isn't good enough when you're pushing sensitivity this high.
It really isn't. This is honestly where a lot of people fail when trying to get extreme depth.
Why? What's wrong with the standard pump the coil method?
The standard method works fine at normal sensitivity levels. You pump the coil, the machine listens to the ground's magnetic response, and it cancels it out.
That'll.
Simple. But
when sensitivity is cranked to 25...
when it's at 25, the machine isn't just listening to the soil. It's hearing everything. Every little bit of electromagnetic interference, power lines, your phone, maybe distant electric fences.
Even tiny mineralized bits in the soil. Microiron.
Exactly. Microiron, hot rocks, the works. And if you perform the ground balance while the sensitivity is maxed out, the machine mistakenly lumps all that EMI and micromineral noise into its calculation of the soil signature.
Ah, so it ends up balancing out not just the soil, but all the noise, too.
Precisely. You get what we call a dirty balance. And the result, as soon as you start sweeping, the machine is constantly fighting that built-in noise baseline. It chatters, it falses.
And you're forced to turn the sensitivity back down.
Right back down, often to 18 or 19, just to quieten it down. And boom, you've just lost maybe half your potential depth because the initial balance was contaminated.
Okay, so this special two-stage technique is designed to prevent that contamination. Walk us through it precisely.
Okay, think of it like tuning a sensitive instrument. You do it in a quiet room, right? Not next to a speaker stack.
Makes sense.
So step 1, before you even think about ground balancing, manually turn your sensitivity down, way down, to a nice, quiet, stable level. The guide suggests around 15 to 17. Make the machine calm first.
Okay, sensitivity low, step 2.
Step 2. Now you perform your normal manual ground balance. Find a clean patch of ground free of metal, pump the coil smoothly, maybe 10 centimeters or about 4 inches off the ground, up and down, until the machine gives you a stable ground balance number and the audio smooths out.
So you get a balance reading based only on the actual soil minerals without the high gain noise confusing things.
Exactly. You've locked in the true soil response. Step 3. Only after that clean ground balance is locked in, do you carefully, gradually increase the sensitivity back up.
Back up to that target range of 22, 23, 24, maybe 25.
Yes. Nudge it up notch by notch. You'll likely find it remains much more stable at those higher levels now because the underlying ground balance is pure, relating only to the soil itself.
That's genuinely clever. You isolate the soil calibration from the high gain amplification stage.
That's the key. The EMI and the microiron noise might still be there, of course, but now the machine can handle it as interference on top of a clean baseline rather than having the noise bake into the baseline itself. It allows a much higher stable sensitivity.
Brilliant. Okay, that covers the ultra deep mode for single large items. But often we're looking for something different, like a scattered coin hoard, maybe in tougher ground conditions. So let's shift to deep dive 2, coin hoard mode.
Right, and a coin hoard is a different beast electromagnetically. It's not usually one solid lump. It's often a dispersed collection.
Like a cloud or halo of signals.
Exactly. A halo is a great way to put it. A distributed mass giving off a broader, maybe less intense signal than a single ingot. Plus, you're often dealing with more challenging soil, moderate to heavy mineralization, maybe more iron contamination around.
So we need to adapt the settings. What's the first change?
We switched the mode. Instead of Park 1, we moved to Field 1 in Multi-IQ.
What field one?
Well, while Park 1 really pushes those low frequencies for maximum punch on big single items, Field 1 is known for providing a generally smoother, more stable response, especially in mineralized or iron-littered ground.
So it still has good depth, but handles the challenging conditions better.
Precisely. It retains excellent depth, make no mistake, but its internal processing is a bit gentler on those ground variations in iron signals. This helps us manage the difficult soil without completely losing the faint, wide signature of that horde halo.
And what about sensitivity in this mode? Does that change too?
Yes, we start a touch more conservatively. Aim for 22 initially. You can try nudging it up towards 24, but only if the machine feels perfectly stable after doing that two-stage ground balance.
Why start lower here?
Because clarity becomes paramount when you're trying to decipher a complex, diffuse signal like a horde, especially in messy ground. Losing 1 point of theoretical sensitivity is a small price to pay for gaining the ability to actually understand what the machine is telling you amongst the noise. Chaos is useless.
Makes sense. Prioritize usable information. What about recovery speed for hordes?
We speed it up slightly compared to the ultra-deep mode. Move to 3, maybe 4.
Interesting. Why faster recovery for a diffuse target like a horde?
It's about separation again, but in a different context. Hordes are often clusters of individual coins, sometimes close together, and frequently there might be associated iron nearby, maybe fragments of the container, a pot, or just random iron junk. That slightly faster recovery speed helps the machine distinguish between the individual elements within the horde's halo and any adjacent iron trash. It prevents the detector from just blending everything together into one giant, confusing signal blob. You need just enough speed to resolve the cluster.
Got it. And iron bias. We kept it at 0 for ultra deep mode. What about here? Still low.
Still very low. Keep F2, the advanced setting, at 0 or maybe 1 at the absolute maximum.
And the reasoning. Still about not clipping faint signals.
Yes. Specifically the edges of the horde signal. That broad, often low-tone halo we talked about. That's exactly the kind of signal characteristic that higher iron bias settings tend to compress or even eliminate. Especially if it's, say, a copper horde that's heavily oxidized, it might give a very wide, low-tone response. You don't want the machine ignoring that subtle signature.
Right. Preserve the whole signal picture. Now, across both these modes, ultra deep and coin horde, the source material is really insistent on one thing regarding discrimination.
Ah, yes. All metal. Always.
The horseshoe icon must be on, Dan. Why is this non-negotiable?
It's critical because buried hordes, ancient targets, they're rarely clean signals. You might have mixed metals, heavily corroded coins that don't read like modern ones, maybe silver masked by surrounding iron, or bronze artifacts that sound odd.
So if you're using digital discrimination, relying on those target ID numbers,
you risk the machine's internal filters just deciding, nope, that doesn't fit a known good target profile, and silencing it. Especially with corroded or mixed signals. All metal ensures you hear everything the coil detects.
Which means you then have to rely on interpreting the sounds yourself.
Exactly. Which brings us neatly to the next crucial part, the auditory science, what you're actually listening for.
Yes. This feels like the most important skill, maybe even more than the settings. When you're operating at these fringe limits, what does a genuine deep target actually sound like? Because it's not the sharp zip-zip we expect from shallow coins.
Oh, absolutely not. You have to completely retrain your ears and expectations. Forget the crisp, sharp beep.
So what do we listen for?
The signature of a deep mass, like a horde or a large single object at depth, is usually a wide, mellow rise in the background threshold hum. It's subtle. It sounds almost like the machine is gently sighing or taking a soft breath as the coil passes over the spot.
Wide and mellow, not sharp and localized.
Exactly. And the VDI, the number on the screen. Forget about it initially. It will likely be highly unstable, flickering between numbers, maybe showing dashes, or vanishing completely. At extreme depth, the audio is king. You trust that repeatable soft rise in the hum.
I found this tip really helpful from the sources. If you get that soft, wide audio rise, try carefully scraping off just the top layer of soil, maybe the first inch or two, 5 centimeters or so.
Yes, that's a key confirmation technique. Removing just that little bit of overburden dramatically reduces the distance to the target. Often that's enough to strengthen the signal just above the absolute fringe.
So the audio should become a bit clearer, and the VDI might start to stabilize and give you a more consistent ID number.
That's often exactly what happens. It confirms you're onto something real, not just a weird patch of ground.
And finding these whispers in the first place demands discipline.
Flawless discipline. Sweep slow, keep the coil perfectly flat against the ground, no lifting at the ends of your swing, and ensure you overlap each sweep by a good 40 to 50%. You can't leave gaps.
And the cross-check.
Absolutely critical. Anytime you get one of these faint, promising signals, stop, rotate 90 degrees, and sweep across the exact same spot from the side. Because ground noise, mineral variations, hot rocks, they're often directional. They might give a signal from one sweep direction, but disappear or change dramatically when you hit them from the side. A true physical metallic target deep down, however faint, will almost always repeat that soft audio rise when checked from 90 degrees. That's your confirmation.
Okay, so pulling all of this together, the specific settings, the two-stage ground balance, the careful listening, the discipline technique, what's the overarching philosophy here? We started by talking about pushing the machine to the threshold of stability. It really sounds like the whole approach is about operating in a state of, well, controlled instability.
That sums it up perfectly. Controlled instability. A detector configured for absolute maximum depth will never be perfectly silent and calm. If your machine is dead quiet,
You're leaving depth on the table.
you absolutely are. Your goal isn't silence. It's a machine that's alive, humming gently, sensitive enough to whisper to you from the very fringe of detection. You learn to live with that low, steady threshold hum, listening intently for that anomaly, that soft, repeatable rise.
And for troubleshooting when you're in that state, the advice is clear. Trust your ears first.
Always trust the audio over the VDI at extreme depth. And watch out for common errors. First, keep that coil dead flat. Lifting it at the ends of your swing causes that loud bong, false signal as the coil height changes relative to the ground. Kills your concentration.
Right. And the second thing, how to tell a faint target from a mineral false signal.
If you have a faint, repeatable signal, but you're still unsure if it's metallic or just mineralization, here's a quick check. Momentarily switch off all metal by pressing the horseshoe button. Apply some discrimination.
What happens?
Mineral false signals, ghost signals from the ground, often vanish completely or change drastically the moment you apply even minimal discrimination. A broad, deep, non-ferrous target response, however, will usually remain audible, maybe just quieter. That confirms its metallic nature.
That's a very practical tip. The sources also really stress treating every hunt not just as a casual walk, but almost like a field validation routine.
Yes, rigor is key. Preparation matters hugely. Before you even go to a promising site, the recommendation is to create your own buried test target or cluster.
Like burying some coins or a test object at a known depth.
Exactly. Bury something similar to what you hope to find, maybe some old copper coins, a brass object at the very edge of what your detector can normally pick up in that specific soil type. Then you practice.
Practice dialing in the settings.
Practice the two-stage ground balance, tweaking the sensitivity, adjusting the recovery speed right there over your known test target until you get that faint but repeatable signal in both sweep directions. Then you lock in those settings and start your actual search using those proven parameters.
It's like calibrating yourself and the machine together for that specific environment.
That's a great way to put it.
Well, this has been an incredible deep dive, synthesizing all that. The need to push sensitivity, understanding the recovery speed trade-offs, nailing that critical two-stage ground balance. It's clear that getting ultimate performance is a meticulous, almost scientific process.
It really is. And if you connect it back maybe to a bigger idea, the really profound takeaway from all this specialized knowledge, I think, is that the very deepest, most significant finds, they're almost never made with a machine that's perfectly silent and comfortable to use.
They come from that edge.
They come from operating right there at the edge of chaos, as the source material puts it. That place where the steady background hum of the threshold just quivers slightly, and that soft, mellow rise in tone repeats just one time too many to ignore.
It definitely leaves us with a powerful final thought for you, the listener. Thinking beyond metal detecting, how often maybe in your work or any skill you pursue, do you choose the comfort of the silent machine, the predictable path?
Instead of pushing right up to that necessary humming, slightly unstable edge where the real breakthroughs might be waiting.
Don't be afraid of the hum.
That's where the information is. And one last practical tip. Always record your settings when you make a significant find. Note the soil type, the date, the exact sensitivity, recovery speed, ground balance number. That data becomes your own personal blueprint because these patterns, these successful settings, they often repeat across similar sites. Now go out there and listen for that whisper.